So we're going to make a lamb stew today. I'm going to show you a very simple way to make this stew that you can make it over and over and mix it up every now and again when you want to get a little bit adventurous. We're going to use shoulder of lamb, slow cook it and get the most out of it in some beautiful brown chicken stock with some nice appropriate vegetables to pair with this. So stick around, I'm going to show you all the little tips and tricks on how to get this stew banging and on your table so you can have a delicious dinner. This is a real hug of a dish, perfect for those cold nights that we are all experiencing right now. Okay, let's get into this.
So we're going to finally dice a medium onion or 200 grams, just like this. Cut it in half, go along just like this, and then cut it horizontally. This will just help you get some nice even dice. Doesn't have to be ultra fine, but it helps in the final product because it will just sweat really nicely into your stew. Okay, now set that aside, and then we're going to do the same thing with a stick and a half or 100 grams of celery. Cut off the ends like this and just cut off those old bits. You can save them for stock if you want. And then we're going to dice these up just like we did with the onion. Just run your knife through it as well and get it nice and fine. This will also help with the foundation of this stew. Plenty flavor building. Okay, now set that aside as well. Then we're going to move on to mushrooms, 250 grams. Give them a little wipe. I've used creminis here. Cut off the ends, cut them in half, and then just cut them into threes just like this. We want them a little bit chunky because when we sweat these down, they're going to release a lot of moisture. So we're going to add half of this sprig of rosemary to the mushrooms. We don't need to chop it. We're just going to peel it, rip it off, and put it straight over, and then reserve the other half of that rosemary sprig. I'll show you what to do with that later. Then we need 2 carrots or 225 grams. Top them, peel them, and then we're going to cut these in half, and then we're going to cut them into battens. And we're going to cut these into bite-sized pieces for the stew. If you cut everything roughly the same size, it will just help in the cooking process. Take your time, get yourself organized, have a nice little dice like this, and you can smash through your prep quite easily. Okay, now set that aside, get that other bit of rosemary that we had, chop that up, and we're just going to put that over the onions. Now we really want to boost the flavor, so we're going to add these beautiful anchovies that are in olive oil. These look absolutely amazing. You're going to need 3 of them, and we're also going to use some of that oil, so do not waste it. About a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of that oil. Some very sexy anchovies indeed. Now you're going to need 3 cloves of garlic. We're just going to crush them. You could use the back of a knife, but this is just a little bit quicker for this job. Make sure you get it all scraped out. And then we're going to put that aside. And there is the basis of our stew foundation. Now to this, you can add any starch you want, potatoes, whatever. I'm going to add some rutabaga or swede as we know it. We need about 350 grams. I'm only going to use half here. Just peel it in half like that. Cut it into battens again, and then cut it roughly the same size as your carrots and set that aside. Add 2 tablespoons of flour to a bowl, and we're going to season this up with some salt and some pepper. Give that a good little whisk, and then we're going to get some shoulder of lamb. Mine's already diced from my butcher, about 680 grams in total. This is a delicious cut of meat. Add a nice generous seasoning of salt and pepper to your lamb. Mix that through, and then we're going to put the flour over the top and give that all a good mixing so that we can coat each piece very nicely in flour, and then we're going to get ready to fry this. Heat up a pan with some olive oil. Wait till it gets nice and hot, and then we're going to start searing off our meat in batches. We don't want to put too much at once because then it's just going to overcrowd the pan. And you end up lowering the temperature so you don't really get a nice sear. So these look really nice, golden brown. And then we're just going to take that off the heat once it's all been seared. If your pan gets too hot like this, move it to the side, add a little bit of oil off the heat, just let it cool down for about 20-30 seconds, get it back on the heat again, and then go back in with some more lamb. Repeat the process. If you need to add a bit more oil, if the pan looks dry, then do so. Right, give that a little flip, set that all aside. Once you've done all your lamb, then we're going to add a little bit more olive oil in, and we are going to go in with our mushrooms. Now you want to fry these separately to really get some color and flavor in them, rather than just putting them in. So you can see they're already turning a beautiful golden brown. After about 4 minutes, I've added a tablespoon or so of some lovely ghee. That's just going to give it a lovely golden nutty brown flavor. And then it's going to bring out all that moisture and really soak back into the mushrooms. So you can see they look amazing. Just have that on a bit of toast and you will be a very happy person. Okay, now we're going to set that aside, deglaze that pan with a bit of water, just scrub off any little bits and bobs on the bottom, and then save all that water and set it aside. Now we're going to switch over to a bigger pan to cook this stew in. So we're going to use a nice stock pot, which I've got right here. I'm going to add the anchovies and the oil. You don't need to chop them up. As you sweat them down, they will break down naturally. Put in your onions, garlic, and celery. Sweat that for about 5 to 6 minutes. Don't brown it. Add a touch more oil if you need to. That is looking absolutely delicious already. Then back in with your meat and all your mushrooms. Add that reserved deglazed cooking water. Give that a little mix around. We're going to chuck in about 3 bay leaves. I think that feels right for this dish. So put in about 3. And then we're going to add in a liter of brown chicken stock. Absolutely glorious. Top that up with some water. Give that a little mix around. Add a little bit of salt and some pepper. And then we're going to bring that up to the boil. Now we don't need to skim it, which is a bonus. Give that a little stir, put a lid on it, and we're going to simmer it for about an hour to an hour and a half. It should look like this. The smell of this is divine. Add your vegetables, that's your carrots and your rutabaga. Give that a little stir, and you want to top this up with enough water just to cover it. And then we're going to cook it for about 30 minutes until everything is nice and tender. After 30 minutes, my friends, you have a stew that is divine indeed. When it is ready, you can just break apart the meat like this. Taste it and thank the stew gods that you are eating this later for dinner. Now, the secret ingredient is a Worcestershire sauce, Worcester sauce, however you pronounce it. Let me know in the comments below. Add a nice glug of that to your choice, about 20-30 mils I went with. Some nice salt and pepper, give it a good mix, plate it up, and get ready to enjoy an absolutely delicious lamb stew for dinner. You will love this dish till the end of time.
So there we have a beautiful lamb stew with the Worcestershire sauce. Look at that, glorious. There's so much comfort in a lamb stew. When you made it right, the vegetables hold up and you get that real depth of flavor from the stock. And then the lamb just has its beautiful tenderness it just gives, and you get that lovely rosemary just echoing all the way through the dish. Serve this with a side of potatoes, some crusty bread, a nice glass of red wine, and you will forget about those cold evenings when you come back home from work. Give this one a go, friends. You're going to thank me for it. It's an absolute staple this time of year. If you like this and some of the other dishes we've done, please think about subscribing. It goes a long way to blow our channel up. So please like, comment, and subscribe. Appreciate all of you that have done so far. Time to enjoy this for dinner. I'll see you on the next one.